All right, we are live. Hello, welcome everybody. Samir is with us. Samir is an immigration lawyer. Samir, I still stole your intro, but we do this every Wednesday, 1 p.m. California time and 4 p.m. Eastern time, to answer any immigration questions you have. Samir, anything else you want to add in your intro?
No, other than so I got the memo on wearing black today, and
Yeah.
yes, for the audience's benefit, we are mourning the loss of a fairly sensible immigration system here today. So here we are.
Yeah. 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 Um, all right. So I was WhatsApped this morning that, hey, this is a new rule about. I don't know what exactly the rule is about, but apparently it sounds like it's a proposed rule. It's not, a law yet or anything yet in function. But you know what I'm talking about. I sent you the link, right? So can you give context of like what exactly it is? What are they trying to do? It
Hmm.
sounds like they're trying to do something with duration of stay for F1 visa, but again, I
Hmm.
I was very confused. But I'm also not an
Hmm.
immigration lawyer, so
Yeah, I mean, it's a proposed rule attacking our international student population.
mm,
So I'll get into the specifics in a second. High level is it's a proposed rule. So they have published it and invited comments from the general public. This is like the rulemaking process, right? So
mm,
then the general public will take 30 days to comment, and then the government will take a few months to publish and implement the rule,
mm,
making it live. At which point, I'm sure they'll get sued, and so lawsuits will follow. And so we don't know exactly if and when the rule will actually become um, effective, right?
yeah,
Based on all these factors. Okay,
yeah,
so everything that we're talking about today is with the caveat that the rule is not in effect right now. We actually don't know when it will be because I'm sure it's going to face a lot of legal challenge.
right, yeah. And for audience purposes,
Mhm.
this is the rule that we are talking about. I think it was just proposed. Um,
Yeah.
yeah,
So yeah, it's definitely if you are an insomniac, it is definitely a cure for insomnia. If you want to read something that'll put you right to sleep, reading a proposed rule will certainly help. But here are the headliners.
yeah.
So the rule is basically targeted towards students in F1 and J1 status. Okay. Um, Anybody who's an F1 or J1, you know that when you travel and you come back in, your identity force is D/S, duration of stay. And the whole idea behind that is because students are often, changing schools, they're adjusting their programs, like they're going to new schools, they're students, and so they're particularly exposed to possibly falling out of status, right? And so to protect them from all of that, um, the government, never really had status expirations for them,
Mm,
but said so long as you're maintaining your stay with the school, you're in status, which is what D/S means,
yeah.
right? So this rule proposes to end that. Okay, this rule basically says every student in F or J status would be limited to 4 years. So you'll have an expiration after 4 years. If you wanted to file extensions, you can do that, but they take
So, sorry,
extensions to,
there's some
yeah.
beating sound. People are commenting in the chat. Is there something? I don't think it's in on my end, but uh,
There's nothing different on my end either.
uh, I think now it's stopped. Maybe, yeah. Okay, I think we're good now. Sorry, go ahead.
We're good. Okay, that was weird. Maybe that's ICE listening into our conversation. Anyway, okay, so where was I? So 4 years, right? The students can request 4 years, right? And then if they want to, if they are eligible for it, they can apply for extensions, which can take months and months. We don't know if premium processing will be
Mm,
allowed. And during the extensions, obviously they can't travel, so that's going to be a problem, right? The rule would restrict students from transferring schools unless they've completed one full academic year at the first school. Okay, unless they're granted some sort of exemption. If they're graduate students, they may not be able to change programs at all.
mm,
Okay, so people will not be allowed to do second bachelor's or second master's degrees. They can only progress like to higher degrees. So what does that mean for day one CPT? We've been talking about this, right? We know day one CPT is going to be it's going to be a target of the government. We just didn't know how. Well, this is probably how they're going to get rid of it. Like if you already have a master's degree, and now you're trying to get a second master's degree through day one CPT, you're not going to be able to, because you can't get the same level of degree. Right? You have to only get a higher degree. Right now, students get a grace period of 60 days. Right, that'll be decreased to 30 days. And there's more stuff in there that's just kind of in the weeds. But this is generally, you can kind of see what a huge change this would be, and why this is an attack on our international student community.
So, okay, so they are saying 4 years. So is the visa stamp going to be 4 years, or what?
No, their status in the US is 4 years.
Okay, so before it was so 5 years was stamp, but like your master's was 2 years. You
forget about the stamp. The stamp is just your ability to enter the US.
Right.
With more, the stamp is located on your status. Right. The status never had an expiration to it. Now it will. Do you understand?
And they are saying you can extend that, but obviously
you have to file for an extension, whereas before you would just, what would you do if you wanted to extend your status? You would just get a new I-20.
Right. Yeah. Okay. And then grace period going from 60 to 30 days. Same at discretion, I'm assuming.
That's different. That's different than the 60-day student grace period existed long before the H1B, the H1B, the one you think about for H1Bs. I don't think that's discretionary. I'll have to go back and look.
Okay.
But at the end of the day, it's still, now it's only going to be 30 days.
When will this take effect? Again, I think we said it in the beginning, Suresh, but it's in a rule-making process right now. They have proposed it. So basically,
it's just to reiterate, if anybody missed it. So this is a proposed rule. They're publishing it, inviting comments. Okay, that'll take 30 days. Okay, then after that, they'll spend another few months to publish the final version of the rule, right? At which point it'll go into effect. However, there's almost certainly going to be lawsuits challenging it, so that might stop it from going into effect. So we actually don't know for sure when it will happen. And the earliest, probably 3 to 4 months from now. Most likely, probably not so much longer, or if at all.
Yeah, it's possible that this rule may never go into effect.
It's possible, yeah. It depends on what a court says.
Yeah. Okay. I do think there is a beeping sound, and it's not coming from my end. I checked. Maybe, are you using an external mic, or are you using AirPods?
I'm using AirPods for incoming sound and an external mic from my speaker.
Oh,
should I move to a headphone instead?
Let's try that. Yeah. Okay.
All right. We'll take a commercial break while I switch off my AirPods.
Yes.
Okay.
Somebody said "Man in Black," so. Oh, no. I think, sorry, I meant like you should go on your AirPods for microphone as well.
Yeah. Here they come. All
right. Nice.
Okay, how's that better? Is that better?
Yeah, much better. And you also look much cooler. So.
I look like a DJ. Well, we can blame Apple. How about that?
All right. Okay. So Jalpa is asking, once it's in effect, what happens for current F1 student? Like, is it retrospective? Who changed the status after coming to USA?
We don't know.
We don't know.
It's not clear yet. No.
Okay.
I mean, likely it's going to impact anybody who's in F1 status right now.
Would it affect OPT? Are there any changes? Mention anything?
Not any changes to OPT that we know of yet, but we know that the incoming Homeland Security Secretary wants to get rid of OPT, so we don't know what is down the line.
Okay. All right. Are there any question? why is he targeting international students rather than fixing other problems? Why does Trump blame legal immigrants for all the problems? Well, not a question. I mean, I guess it's a question, but
welcome to our administration. This is happening across the board, and honestly, it's one that it's a little frustrating to me when people ask me. Not that it's this person's fault. We were sounding the alarm last year at this time when Trump was talking about how he wants to give green cards to everybody who graduated from school. If you remember that,
yeah,
we knew he wasn't going to do that, and there are people who thought that was awesome. Oh, great, Trump wants to do that. Like we knew what was really going to happen, because the person who dictates immigration is Stephen Miller, right? Who's his deputy chief of staff. He's in charge of all policymaking within the government. This has his handiwork. Okay, he wants to get rid of all immigrants. It's not legal or illegal, and it's time for all of us, okay, to stop differentiating between legal and illegal immigrants. This is a term used by those who hate all immigrants. Okay, there are people. Immigration is an economic problem. Quote unquote illegal immigrants solve a huge economic need for our country. Just because Congress can't get its act together to figure out how to give them guest worker status doesn't mean that there isn't an economic need that draws them both from their end and from our end, from our employer end, right? So doing a distinction between legal and illegal immigration divides the immigrant community, which makes the immigrant community weaker, which plays into the hands of the people that are doing this. So I want everyone to kind of get a sense of the big picture as to what's happening here. Okay. And to know that this was always going to be the case from the beginning, right? And we knew this was going to happen.
Yeah.
Now you can see I get a little pumped up about this.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Will it affect STEM OPT?
We don't know. Not yet. But I'm sure there's going to be some. I mean, it's almost 100% that there's going to be some attack on OPT.
Yeah. And then what about the students who are on day one CPT? So it will impact them.
I mean, to the earlier question about how does this affect people who are already in F1 status and already have things going on, right?
Yeah, more than 4 years.
It's going to impact your next step, right? So, like maybe like you won't have I don't know. I actually don't know what that impact is going to be on people because it's not made clear yet. The rule is not final, right? And they haven't published the regulations to explain and policies to explain how they're going to address these situations, right? But this is the day one CPT question perfectly encapsulates the problem. Like, what if you're in a master's degree program and you don't get an H1B? Like, you can't, under this regulation, you can't do day one CPT because you can't do another master's, right? So it's going to impact people and the next step that they want to take, which is precisely what they want to do. They want to make it harder for students to linger here. To them, you're lingering, right? If you don't have a job right away, then they don't want you here. It's a very short-term thinking, right? But that's what's happening from a policy maker's perspective.
Okay. All right. Math question. People are starting to know you now that you love math.
Yeah. Then they should know that I'm not the right person to ask math questions to.
All right. Okay. Laid off on H1B. Employer revoked I-797. Does I-94 date on I-797 also get revoked? If so, does it default to online I-94 date expired due to PPE renewal or layoff date?
No. Yeah, I mean, I think the real question you're asking is, how does the government know? Okay. Am I out of status and how does the government know? Okay. So if you're I-797, and we talked about, I believe we talked about this at one point, but it all has to come down to a last action rule, right? Which happened later in time, the I-797 approval or your last entry into the US? Okay. If it's a last entry into the US, then the I-94 online governs your status. That's your expiration date. Okay. If it's I-797, then the I-94 at the bottom of your I-797 governs your status. The online one is not going to be updated. The online one only gets updated when you travel. Okay. So remember that distinction. Now, assuming it's I-94 at the bottom of your I-97, I-797, the answer, the correct question is, am I out of status? And the question is, yes, you will be out of status once you're laid off. Now, you're supposed to get a 60-day grace period. As we know, that's under attack by the government. It's a discretionary grace period. And the government will issue a notice to appear or may issue a notice to appear in immigration court to you once your company notifies USCIS that they withdraw on the H1B. So it's not going to update online, but it is going to update their internal systems. They will know whether or not they'll issue the NTA. That's totally random. I don't think it doesn't seem like they're doing that in every case. So we just don't know. Yeah.
And a follow-up, are you still seeing fresh NTAs? Some other channel reported that they have stopped issuing them.
Yeah, I've heard that. I've seen them. So you have to understand that it could be, but NTAs take 30 days to arrive. Okay. So I've seen NTAs issued or up to 30 days to arrive. I've seen NTAs issued as late as August 12th. So if that's the case, it seems like they're still happening. But I don't know. Like I'm not the right. We're not getting every NTA in the country, so we're not the right measure of if there's any slowdown or not. Right?
Yeah.
They seem to be slowing down, but then I keep getting calls that somebody just got an NTA. So I don't think they stopped.
Okay. First H1B approved under SOC job code DBA admin, title at filing, data and analytics senior consultant. Now title change, data scientist senior consultant. Duties unchanged. Interview in India soon. Any issues?
No. This is a perfect example of somebody you understand just enough to get you into trouble, and you're getting into trouble because now you're worried. Now the duties. What's important to remember? It's not about the title. It's about the duties. What are you doing? Everything is predicated on your day-to-day duties. If they remain unchanged, then nothing changes about your job. There should be no issues at your interview. Okay. If it comes up, just tell them my duties have remained unchanged. It's just an HR job title change. That's it.
Nice. Okay. Is it safe to travel to India during my winter break? I have already booked my flight.
That's a very broad question. Yeah. Wait. I mean, you have to give us, when you ask questions like this, explain to us what makes you feel unsafe. What questions do you have? What's your immigration status? What's your situation? Why do you feel? What are you worried about? Perhaps do a little bit of research before you ask the question, so you know what kind of information we need to properly answer your question. Otherwise, there's not much we can do to help you right now, unless you want to schedule a consultation and talk it through with us.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Here we go. On H1B right now, employment terminating on September 2nd, searching for new job. When should I file for change of status B2? Before September 2, after NTA, or wait for at least 2-3 weeks of grace period?
So I'm not sure you understand that if an NTA is issued, you can't do it. You can't file anything after that. Like you're in immigration court at that point. You're going to want to show that whatever remedial kind of mitigating steps you took have occurred as soon as possible and well before the NTA was issued. Okay. So if you're on the H1B and your employment is terminating, I know you want to stick around. You're trying to find a new job. You go ahead and try to do that. Try to apply for a B2, but understand that if you get an NTA, you're in immigration court and you may not be able to stay at this point. So how important is it for you to stay and search for a new job versus, maybe saying it's not worth it for me. I'm going to go back home and search for a job back there. This is a personal question. Okay. And
so you're saying if I got issued NTA, I cannot then make a change of status B2.
No, you can't. No, you're in immigration court. Like they are going to decide, are you deportable or not? You can't say, oh, just kidding. I want to file for a B2 now. No, you cannot do that. And that's just not going to reflect well on the judge. So, if you want to do the B2, you can, but it's not guaranteed to work like it almost always worked in the prior administration.
Will B2 change of status impact H1B change of status when I find new job?
If it's approved, you should be able to get an H1B approved. If it's pending, it's 50-50 at this point. Remember that the H1B change of status is two different things, right? There's the H1B, which will be approved. The change of status is the mechanism by which it activates, right? That can be denied while an H1B is approved, which means you'd have to go leave the US and come back in. And then if you're in court, you can't leave the US. Do you understand the problem? So,
yeah. Okay. For my wife's EB1A I-140 petition, the online case tracker shows cancellation of request for additional evidence, and immediately after notice explaining USCIS action was mailed. What can it be?
Well, okay, I'm assuming you have a lawyer. Please work with them because they would have more context on what this might mean. We have no way of knowing. It sounds like there's possibly a denial coming your way, but I'm not sure. I can't verify that for a fact.
Mm.
In this case, context really matters, and your lawyer will have that context.
Yeah. Okay. If you want to get more pumped up, someone just commented that.
Now they're just trying to provoke me.
Right. Okay. I think we covered this one. There are a lot of repeated questions because we were going through the thing. Okay. I have a couple of unrelated questions. Okay. A company wants to transfer my H1B visa onto them and hire me full time, but they've never done it before. What are the steps for a company to do that? Hire an immigration?
Get a lawyer and help them file the H1B for them. That's the steps. Yeah. I'm not going to go through the steps of how to file an H1B right now.
But maybe you can reach out to Samir's team. Like, you guys can help, right? Yeah, the new startups.
Yeah, absolutely.
Nice. Okay. I'm on STEM OPT working while I'll be traveling soon. I still have another year on OPT. Will it affect me to travel? Lots of travel questions.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Like in a normal time, there's no issue for traveling. These are not normal times, right? So it's very difficult for me to tell you there's no risk. As the rules stand right now, there shouldn't be much of an issue as long as you're working and you have a student visa stamp and you have an I-20 annotated for travel. You should be okay, right? But I don't know if rules are changing quickly, and if a rule changes while you're abroad, we just don't know if that'll impact you and your ability to come back. Do you understand? Yeah. So I don't have anything specific to give you other than that's my general worry.
I know you explained this rule before, but I'm confused. Suppose I have a visa which has expiry after 5 years, which include 2 years of education plus 3 years of OPT. Is the rule different than this? I think there are many questions on like that.
So remember, we're not talking about visa stamp expirations.
Yeah.
Okay. That's the number one distinction you have to make in your mind. The visa stamp allows you to enter the US. Those expire because the government keeps wanting you to reapply so that they can check up on you, right? The consulates, the consulates want to check on you to make sure you're not a drug dealer or you're not like an international crime boss, okay? That's why they do that, okay? But this rule is not about visa stamps. This rule is about your status in the US, your ability to stay here, live here, and go to school here, okay? That has not had expirations on it before, right? That has had your ability to freely travel from school to school if need be. And that's what this rule is limiting. Okay, so I don't know. Can you put the question back up, Yudi? I just want to make sure. So the education plus 3 years of OPT, you should still have that according to this rule, but you may not be able to go back to, let's say you got a master's degree, you're not going to be able to go back to another master's program, for example. Like if you want to go back to school, it has to be at a higher level. So that's what this rule is saying.
The status expires in 4 years. Then for the third year of OPT, you now have to extend.
Well, that part, okay, that makes sense. I understand that. Yeah. Hey, Sudarshan, I'm just as confused as you are, honestly. Maybe we're not sure yet how that's going to work. Okay. If you get 4 years and then you get an OPT, is that an extension or do you have to do a separate extension? Like they haven't really thought that part out yet.
And so when will they clarify this? After the public has commented?
They issue the final rule, and there'll probably still be a lot of holes and questions like this. See, part of the comment period is to raise issues like this, right? then they'd be like, oh yeah, we didn't think about that, and let's address it in our final rule. So what we get in the final rule could be a lot different than what we see in this published version, right? Because it's after the comments and after all these questions. So we'll get a lot of questions answered, hopefully, when we see the final rule in a few months' time. Or we may not, and they may just like leave it purposely vague, which they do a lot, and then they take the strictest ad hoc interpretation for each person that they can, right? So we'll see.
Yeah. Anything good happening in EB2 backlog? Can one hope to get green card priority date in 2020?
Sorry. This backlog, Sonal, is projected to last 120 plus years. So 3,000 by 3,050 is the year. Sorry, that's wrong. No, that's 1,000 years. That's 1,000 years. This is why you don't come to me for math. 2140 is the year.
Yeah. All right. Being on OPT, can my employer directly apply for green card without going to H1B?
They can, but I'm assuming you're Indian national. That's not really going to help you for the reason we just talked about before. The last question. It's going to be 120 years before you can actually get to the point, adjustment of status, where you can apply for a work permit, right? So how's that going to help you bridge the gap between your OPT and getting an H1B? It won't. Secondly, most companies don't do green cards unless you're an H1B. From policy perspective, out of an abundance of caution, because the F1 visa is a non-immigrant intent visa, right? Which technically doesn't prohibit you from doing a green card process, but has all sorts of restrictions to it. And companies don't want to touch the restrictions. So they usually wait until you're on H1B before they will even start, as a matter of policy.
Okay. Here we go. Next one. Planning to move to F1 from CAP subject H1B to pursue my full-time PhD. Will there be a problem during change of status if I already have a perm filed?
A good question. Probably not, because perm is Department of Labor, right? It's a completely different department. And I don't think Palantir has gotten to the point where they're cross-referencing immigration applications with perm applications. Secondly, a perm is a labor market test. It's not your green card process, technically. It's a company's labor market test to see if they should do the green card process. So it should not be an impact on your immigrant intent, because it kind of has nothing to do with that, right? So I don't think there should be an issue for your perm when you change to F1 to pursue your PhD.
I guess, will he have any issues for changing status to F1?
No, that's what I'm saying. I don't think the perm will cause any issues in that change of status application. Yeah.
Right. Got it. Okay. Presently on H1B, perm also got approved. Would it be better to change the job before applying to I-140 or after I-140 approval starts to maintain the green card progress?
So what does the I-140 give you, right? Let's start with that question. The I-140 gives you a place in line for the green card, a priority date, right? That's a very valuable thing to have because there are backlogs and you are not even entering the line. You're not even in line until you get a priority date, right? If you were to leave before the I-140 is approved, you don't get a priority date. You have to start all over your next company, okay? If you leave right after the I-140 is approved, you may lose a priority date, because if the company withdraws the I-140 within 6 months of the approval, you lose it, right? So it's best practice to wait 6 months after an I-140 is approved before you switch companies. That way you keep the benefits of the I-140 from the priority date perspective, and also the ability to extend your H1B past 6 years. Now, to get a green card, if you change jobs, they will have to start the green card process all over again, but you don't lose your place in line, right? So.
Yeah. And Rutvik did say, I'm still a student on F1 status. Can I go to India on winter break and come back without any immigration issue?
Yeah, and I understand your worry. You needing some guidance, what do I do? Am I safe? And I don't have answers for you. In a normal world, You should be, so long as you meet all the requirements that you must meet to travel, right? But now with everything in flux and the current attack on students, I can't guarantee you that there wouldn't be a rule change when you're gone that would prohibit you from coming back. It sounds crazy, but these are crazy times. So I can't point to anything in specific that would say you're not safe to travel, but here we are.
It's just how much risk are you willing to take, basically. Yeah. Okay. Confused on my status right now. I have applied for STEM extension a month ago and awaiting its approval. My employer isn't willing to run my payroll before getting the approval. What is my status currently considered as since my F1 OPT has expired?
So your employer is actually breaking the law by doing that. Like, if you apply for an STEM OPT extension before your OPT expired, you're authorized to work for 180 days, 180, yeah, whatever that period of time is, right? So an employer, on the other hand, can't decide if they're going to hire you with only an OPT approval or a pending extension. They can't distinguish between the two. They're not allowed to do that. It's either they're going to hire you or they're not, right? And it can't be because they don't like your work visa status. You understand? It's called discrimination, right? So I don't know what to tell you other than your employer is breaking the rules. Like, they're supposed to. You're authorized to work, and maybe show them.
And if he is applied,
there's an ICE website, right? Now I'm hearing. Is that you? It's not beeping. I'm hearing a truck. Okay, all sorts of noises today. So there's an ICE website. You can Google this. Like, it talks about you being authorized to work. Show it to them, right? You can even show them the I-9, what's called the I-9 handbook, and the I-9 rules about when they can and when they cannot discriminate upon your employment.
Yeah, it's me because the construction is going on. So
okay. So your status is you're still in F1 status.
Yeah. And he gets 180 days of extension.
Yeah.
Because he has applied. Yeah. Okay. Currently on F1 OPT, contract-based employment, potentially considering starting up. Any potential pitfalls to keep in mind? 8 months remaining in the OPT and then eligible for STEM extension.
Yeah, so long as you notify your school and follow all the reporting procedures, you should be good to go for 8 months. The STEM OPT is not a great avenue for solo founders. So if you have a co-founder, that'd be great. Other people who can attest to supervising your work, that'd be great for STEM OPT purposes. Otherwise, you may want to consider, if you're killing it, you're doing a really, really good job, may want to consider changing to O1, for example. And we do a lot of those for founders.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay. Is it good? Okay, not an immigration question. I'm on H1B. My employer applied my perm process September 2025. What is the right time to move to different employer after perm approval? I think we already answered.
We answered this question. Yeah. Best practice to wait until 6 months after the I-140 is approved. So if you're counting, that's about 2 years from now. I mean, a little less, but
yeah. Is it smart to get a lawyer immediately after landing while a master's student?
That's my favorite question of the day.
Yeah. Wow.
This is where we are. You should screenshot this one, Yudi. This is great.
Yeah. Did my master's 11 years ago and never even thought about it.
Well, you're not out of the woods yet. Have you seen the new naturalization requirements?
Well, yeah, you mentioned it last time that now we have to prove the good judge of character.
Oh, but the next one, you haven't heard about the next one now. The one that came out a couple of days ago.
Wait, what is it?
They will now come to your neighborhood and ask your neighbors and people in your vicinity, your employers, about you. If they need to learn more information about your good moral character. They're gonna reinstate neighborhood interviews for citizenship applications.
Reinstate, as in, was that thing before?
40 years ago, 30 to 40 years ago, they used to do it and they scrapped it because it was not helping. Now they're going to reinstate it.
And is that final, or like, is that like going to happen? Oh my
Well,
God.
so the way to avoid that is to make sure when you apply, you submit. They'll do that if they feel like they don't have enough information on your good moral character. So you're going to submit a lot of information to make them feel good about your good moral character, so they don't do that.
Okay. Yeah. Oh wow.
And make sure you make friends with your neighbors.
Yeah. We are sharing a contractor, so I think we are on good terms.
Okay. What about the other ones, though? The ones down the street.
Yeah.
They don't like you as much. Yes.
Right. Could be a problem. But what if I move? Like, what if I move to Raleigh or some other area?
Yeah, then you have a bunch of people that say, I don't know that person. He seems a little suspicious to me. That probably won't help you.
But we can't provide like references, like, oh,
what I'm saying is, like, if you affirmatively provide all this, then they won't do it. Like, they'll only do this if they feel like they don't have enough information, right? So make sure you submit letters from your employers, your family, your friends, your neighbors, the community leaders, whatever it is you have, to demonstrate your good moral character, so they don't engage in the neighborhood interviews.
Wow, crazy. Okay. On STEM OPT, last H1B chance, current wage level 2. If I move to small city where wage level is 4, will new rule boost my chances?
We don't. First of all, I can't tell you that. We don't know what the new rule is. We haven't seen it yet. In this case, we're waiting. They've received the comments and they're going to publish the new rule. And like very much like this one we're talking about today, it's likely going to be challenged in court. So we cannot give you an answer to that question yet. It's too premature.
Will new H1B wage rule gonna affect H1B extension too as well, or is it just the lottery elimination? Will people needing extension also need certain salary?
If it's implemented, as we understand it, it only affects the lottery. Like it only affects your first H1B getting into the lottery. After that, we don't think there's an effect.
Yeah. Okay. I'm on STEM OPD and my company never sponsored any visa, but they're willing to sponsor my O1B visa. But also recently they have some issues in court. Is it going to impact my visa? And if I apply through this company, is it going to impact my application?
You may want to talk to a lawyer about that. I don't think so. I don't know what kind of issues you're talking about in court, bankruptcy, like what's happening there. I think this is something that's super specific and you need to talk to somebody about.
Yeah. Okay. If my company transfer me to Canada, when can I come back to States to work? Very broad question.
It depends on what visa you can get and when, and who's going to sponsor you, right? So.
Yeah. Okay. Initial OPT application denied. A lawyer applied for motion to reopen the case and received receipt for motion. Can I stay in the US while waiting for the decision?
What did the lawyer tell you? I can't answer that question because I don't know all the facts in your case and don't want to give you advice. Listen to your lawyer about what your status is right now.
Okay. My H1B was not picked in the last lottery. I'm planning to take day 1 CPT. Will this have any problem to my status?
As of right now, no, but we don't know, what's going to happen in the future. Day 1 CPT is going to be first on the chopping block, in my opinion, or many of our opinions. So it could be a problem down the line for you.
Okay. I think we already answered this. Will OPD students be affected by proposed new rule? Answer is not yet. Please,
not yet, or we don't know.
Yeah.
Or we don't know how.
Right. New role within the same org applied for I-797 amendment while I-797 pending. Can I travel? Visa on passport expires in 2027.
Once again, I don't have enough information to give you the full answer. You need to talk to your company's lawyer. they have the full information. But generally speaking, so long as you haven't exceeded your prior expiration, not your visa expiration, your status expiration. So amendments can be extensions too, right? If you've passed that expiration and now you're in the extension period, then you should not travel. If not, then you're probably okay. But check with your company's lawyer to make sure.
Also, if people got picked in the lottery, but the change of status hasn't happened yet, so they are on F1 OPT, got picked in the lottery, change of status is October 1st. Can they travel in between to India and come back?
Yeah, the world is completely flipped upside down, right? But in terms of like how we advised from last year, so long as the change of status is approved,
Okay.
if the change
So
once it's approved. Yes.
But if they have an emergency and they have to go before October 1st?
That's what I'm saying. But as long as the change of status is approved, sometimes they're approved in June, right?
Oh, right. Okay. So petition is approved. Yeah.
Yeah, then they can travel even if it's before October 1st.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah. And then, if they come after October 1st, I'm just curious now, then do they come back on F1 or do they H1?
I mean, if there's status change, it's going to be H1. They have to get an H1 stamp.
Okay, so then they can't travel unless they have an H1B stamp, or they have to come back before October 1st.
Yeah. Generally, if it's just before October 1st, they'll still need a stamp. So usually, if they come in 10 days before, then they'll need an H stamp.
Okay. Got it. Spouse is on H4 EAD expiring 9/26. I'm in process of H1B transfer. The attorney says that they can file EAD and adjust the extend date. Is this valid as more than 180 days left on the EAD?
Yeah, it's totally like there is a 180-day rule about like when you can apply, but that's more of like a preference than it is an absolute bar. So in many cases, we've been able to do what the attorney is saying here, just not every single time. So I would listen to the attorney here.
Okay. Currently, husband on O1 and H1B selected and filed, waiting for approval. I'm on O3 and my H4 filed. Can I travel, only me, travel to India after H4 approval, get it stamped and return after October?
Yeah, I mean, I think so. Like, once again, there are lawyers that did these applications for you, and they're the ones that should advise you because they have all your paperwork and they may have more information that you didn't know to give me that you actually need to get these questions answered. But based on this fact pattern here, and assuming there's nothing else, you should be okay to travel once the H4 is approved and after the H1B has gone into effect, which is usually after October 1st. But make sure that's the case to get stamped and come back. Yeah.
Okay. I'm on F1 STEM OPT and wife is in F2. We want to stay around here for a long time. Can I switch to F2 and my wife on F1, like cross-sectional? Is that possible? I do have a child on F2 too.
Wow. Oh my gosh. Yeah, I mean, you can't do it all at the one time. But what your wife can do is she can switch to F1. And then when that's approved, then you can switch to F2. If the child is in F2, I assume they're on yours. So your child would have to, you make sure you apply for your child when you apply for yourself too, to move to F2. Because your child would then not be under your F1 anymore. They'd be under your wife's F1, right? So you have to apply for that change.
Can this administration scrape 240-day rule? My current H1B expires on September 30th. My employer filed H1B extension last month.
So here's what they're doing. They're very tricky, this administration. Okay. They're very smart. Okay. And they're learning how to exploit the rules. So they cannot scrap the 240-day. They can't get rid of the rule. Okay. But what they're exploiting is the fact that when you're in that 240-day period, right, you're actually technically not an H1B status. You're in an authorized period of stay. Okay, it's different. If you end up in immigration court, there's actually no law or rule that the courts recognize to keep you from being deported if you're an authorized period of stay, which is why they're issuing NTAs, right? So they can't get rid of the rule, but if your H1B expires and you have an extension pending, but they issue an NTA, then it's possible you don't have an argument to stay in the country if you end up in immigration court. It's possible you do. It just depends on the judge, right? It's discretionary on the judge's part. So that's where they're getting very tricky with how they're using the rules.
Okay. On what grounds would court block the government from doing this regulation to impose an I-94 for F1J?
That's a really good question. Very good question. The typical grounds are exceeding their authority to do so. So Congress makes rules, right? The executive branch, which is Trump's administration, is their responsibility is to execute the rules. So the lawsuit may say, well, this goes beyond execution of the rules. This goes into rule making, which they're not allowed to do, right? I don't know. I haven't done my research into terms of how effective that argument would be, but that would be one. Another would be they didn't engage in the correct regulation making process, right? I think they're really working hard on doing that the right way this time around. So I don't know if that'll succeed because they made a lot of mistakes in the last administration about the process, and they fixed those mistakes this time around. So now it would come probably down to their overall authority to impose expirations on status, like whether or not they're actually allowed to or not.
So who fights from the rule side? Government is fighting that we want this, but then who defends this?
So that there'll be lawyers will may get a client, right, who agrees to sue the government, or there can be universities can get together and sue the government, other organizations, lots of interested parties who would stand to be injured by this rule, right? And so universities probably, I think it sounds like to me the most logical first kind of plaintiff in this lawsuit.
Yeah. I'm on F1 with I-94 DS. If DHS fixes visa duration, will it affect me if I plan a second master after my first, or still covered under DS?
Yeah, so there's two things happening here. You're under duration of status, but will you get a finite expiration after that? I don't know. I don't know if you can get a second master's. If you're already in a master's, I don't know if you can apply for a second master's once the rule is in effect, because the rule expressly purports to prohibit that, right? So once again, too early to tell for you, but we'll find out more as time passes.
Okay, Ashmit does really want to know, is it smart to get lawyer immediately after landing in USA while being a master's student?
Are you serious about the question? Yeah, I think it's smart to understand the laws. How about that? It's smart to understand your obligations. Okay.
What does it mean to get a lawyer? Is it?
Yeah. So it's a term of art. You want to have a lawyer on retainer and pay them thousands and thousands of dollars a month just to be there ready for you in case you need them? No, that doesn't make any sense, right? I think the point that I think you're getting at is that, do you need to have a lawyer to contact just in case things go sideways, right? Number one, probably a good idea. Probably number two, there are lawyers that you can pay for consultations occasionally, right? If you have questions and you just want to make sure you understand things. So you may not have done that before. Now may be a good time to start doing that occasionally, right? And number three, never has it been more important for you to understand your duties and obligations as a student in this country. So make sure you've memorized a very strong understanding of what you are not allowed to do as a student. And usually schools do a good job of providing that information to you. Just make sure you understand that and you stick by the rules. Now is not the time to take risks and play fast and loose with the rules.
Okay. Is it legal to pursue PhD while working? I'm currently working as a data analyst in a university. University is willing to file a non-cap H1B.
Yeah, if you have an H1B, you're allowed to pursue studies while on the H1B. So yes.
Applied for H1B extension. I-140 is approved. What would happen if H1B extension is not approved by September 30th or denied? If H1B extension is approved, do I have to visit India to get STEM and I-94 updated, or can I just stay here for 1-2 years?
So when your H1B extension is approved, your I-94 is extended, right? Your status is extended. Your I-94 is just evidence of your status in the U.S., right? Visa stamp is for what? Say it after me. Re-entry into the U.S. after travel only. That's all it's for.
Yeah.
So you don't ever have to get a stamp if you're in the U.S. You just need a stamp if you plan to travel, right?
Mm.
So what would happen if your H-1B extension is not approved by September? Well, then you're in the 240-day period that we discussed earlier. So look that up. You're not in a status. You're in a period of authorized stay. You're allowed to be here and work. But if you end up in immigration court, judges may not think so. So it's kind of this weird gray area. If it's denied, then you're in trouble. Then you should leave right away.
Mm.
Yeah.
Okay. Could you clarify CAP Act introduced by Senator Tom Cotton in July 2025, specifically how it affects H-1B CAP exemption for academics hire and house companion bill by Tom Tiffany?
My answer is I have no idea about these about the SACs. Unfortunately, no, I cannot.
Mm.
I don't know. But you know what? You don't need me to do that. Drop the act into GPT and ask for a summary, and it'll tell you what it is for the most part. Probably better than I can.
What does act mean? Like, it's not a rule, correct? It's the same thing. Like, this is a proposal. Or
It's how they name bills. Bills are drafts of rules that have not become law yet, right?
Okay.
A bill is a proposed law, right?
Okay.
It must be passed by Congress, right?
Mm.
So when they label bills, they call acts, right? And they officially become an act when they're passed by Congress and signed by the president, right? So that's what an act means. And I'm sorry, I don't know much about this one.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Initial OPT, I think we talked about this one. Okay. Well, people are just asking the same question. Working as an intern for a US-based company, once converted, want to know what should I request them to file. I'm in India right now and want to work in US.
Okay. Once converted, what does that mean?
Converted to a full-time role. Like an internship is converted into like a full-time employee.
If you're in India right now and you want to come to the US to work, there's not many options for you. I suggest you ask them, honestly. Like, you can't just request, hey, give me this visa, as if you're in like a shopping, like a grocery store and just picking stuff off the shelf. Like, it doesn't work that way. There are very few options, and you have to go through years and years of navigation to get there. So based on what you're saying, I don't see a clear visa for you to come to the US to work right away. I mean, eventually, the short answer is an H1B, but there's a 20% chance to get picked for one every year. So it's going to take some time. Yeah.
Or L1B maybe. I don't know. But it's intern, so not possible. Bankruptcy is, I think. Yeah. So still talk to lawyer, basically.
Yeah, it depends on the nature of the bankruptcy. Why would they sponsor you for visa if they're in bankruptcy? That sounds like I'm not sure they're even allowed to. I don't know. There are all sorts of issues that you should talk to a lawyer about.
If you have a presence on a national level in India, for example, if you got an award from a national institute or some public forum, can you file O1 instead of H1B or that presence has to be in US?
No, it can be national or international acclaim. So yes, 100%. I mean, it takes more than one award, but assuming you have lots of different kinds of evidences to support the O1, it doesn't matter where you obtain that evidence. It can be anywhere in the world.
It's a good question. PhD programs are usually 5 years. Does this bill mean we have to finish our PhD within 4 years?
It's a great question. Yeah. Yeah. Who are the ones we want the most are the PhDs, right? I mean, not that I have anything against masters. I don't have a PhD. But if you think about it, it's like these probably hurt the PhDs the most because like, are you going to have to apply for an extension? Maybe they'll be granted an exemption. I don't know. It depends on the rule, right? So.
Okay. I haven't seen anybody asking this side of spectrum, so I'm asking, what's your take on H1B cap exam jobs, considering all these changes? Any future impact on this side if you know anything coming?
I don't see much of a change here, aside from the act, which I now have to learn more about. That was Tom Cotton's act, which I have to learn more about. But aside from that, I don't see much in the way of cap exempt jobs changing. Cap exempt jobs are mostly university jobs, right? So as far as like all the changes that have been happening on the H1B side, they're really impacting for-profit companies the most. So I don't see those nonprofit research or nonprofit kind of university jobs changing too much in the near future. Yeah, I don't think they're necessarily on the radar of the government at this point. So
yeah. Okay. I've got an offer as a revenue specialist too, and graduated from information technology management. Any issues I face in future? Not sure I understand the question, but
yeah, well, we all face issues. I'll tell you that much. We have lots of issues we face in life, but you have to be specific about the kind of issues you're concerned about and apply them to your visa status, and just give us a lot more specificity. We'd be able to help you with that question.
Yeah. Okay, last couple questions. Currently in H1B, applying for adjustment of status, marriage to US born. What is the current timeline in California?
Yeah, even within California, the timeline changes anywhere from 6 months to 18 months. Okay. Vikram, continue your H1B status the whole time. Don't let that slip, because it has almost always been the case that once you apply for the green card, like you're in a period of stay, and we were like loosey-goosey about whether you needed an H1B while the process is pending. Now we're like, please keep the H1B. Like otherwise, it could be trouble. Like if you end up in court. Okay. Remember, pending green card is a period of stay. The government doesn't like period of stay for some reason, right? So keep the underlying H1B while the marriage-based process is going and until the green card is approved.
Okay. How to get O1 without research paper and publication? I'm not in the field that does this, typically construction, but have worked fairly high-profile projects in the US through my employer.
Yeah. So the O1 doesn't require research. This is a big misnomer about it. It does for researchers, for PhDs, but are they the only ones that can get O1s? O1s are for those that are excellent in the arts, athletics, sciences, music, fashion, whatever. And 90% of those occupations don't do publications and research. So how do they show that they're amazing? They show that they're amazing, but providing evidence of the things they would accumulate by being amazing in their own field, right? So if you are excelling in projects, for example, and you are, very well known for your reputation and the work that you've done, you probably have critical role or a leading role for your company. You probably have influenced. Maybe how the industry has kind of moved forward or just kind of, proceeded in the future. So maybe you have original contribution. Maybe you're highly paid, so you have compensation, remuneration, right? Maybe you've gone on the lecture circuit. You've spoken about all the projects you've done, right? That can be comparable evidence. There are different ways you can show it, right? You have to, what are all the different ways that you would measure somebody who's at the very top of your field, right? And then turn them into and apply them to the O1 categories.
Yeah. And I think for this individual, I don't know their name, but they can do a profile evaluation with you guys. as well to
Yeah.
get to see where they stand.
Yeah, and if you need help gaining evidence, then luckily enough, we have a bootcamp starting on September 6th. And if you want a kind of guidance and coaching as to how to build that up for your O1, your NIW, or your EB1A, we can help you with that. So reach out for a profile evaluation. We can let you know.
Nice. Okay. Final question. Is the new H1B rule out for public comment?
Yes, it's out for public comment right now.
So anybody, like even I can comment on it, or is it only certain people?
Anybody can. It's a public. Yeah.
Okay. So literally public, like, okay.
Yeah.
And they have to address every single comment they have gotten?
No, they don't have to address anything, but they have to collect comments.
They don't have to address anything. I mean,
you can't address every comment, right? Like you have to show that you're reasonably like receiving them and evaluating them. But at the end of the day, like you can do what you want, especially if you have all powers, right? And then force people to sue you if they don't like it. So what generally happens is they have an agenda, right? They receive comments that they determine whether or not it makes sense for them to push their agenda in light of the comments, they receive, and then they make adjustments based on that, right? And then the comments they get are across the board too. Like you'll get comments for and against. You can't listen to all the comments, otherwise you'll never end, right? You'll just be going around in a circle too. So, yeah.
And how long the commenting period lasts? Like 2 months?
1 month. I believe it's 30 days.
Okay. So 30 days people will comment, and then they will maybe consider, maybe not consider, and then they will, based on that, they'll
draft their final rule.
Okay.
And then publish it. Yeah. And then we'll see where it goes from there.
So when publishing happens, that still doesn't mean it's published. Like
when it's published, it'll be effective. They'll give an effective date.
Oh,
yes. Okay. And then by that date, it becomes a rule. I mean, they're shooting to make it effective by when? By March, right, of next year, because they want it in place before the lottery, right?
Yeah.
So it'll probably, if I had to guess, it'll probably happen sometime around January, February, right? And then that's when the lawsuits will start.
Okay. So even if they publish it, they will say like effective by January 1st. Before that, someone will potentially could file a lawsuit, and that could stall the process.
Yeah. Well, they won't file the lawsuit until after. Yeah. I mean, yes. I mean, generally they say it's effective not too much further out from when it's published. So it could be effective like tomorrow, right? Once it's public. Publish it today, effective tomorrow. So, but yeah, the lawsuits will probably come flying in pretty quickly.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Awesome. Thank you, Samir. And someone said they did the evaluation. I really want to join your class, but I didn't get any response yet. When can I get to know about your profile? So I guess we have their name.
Yeah, we will check. We will check and get back to you. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks, Samir. And thank you, everybody. We'll see you guys next week. Samir, I'll be in Raleigh, but I'll still do the session.
Thank you so much.